Good morning, and how are you? I hope you're enjoying the summer's fresh atmosphere in the air, the beautiful sun melting through the clouds and giving us beautiful blue clouds. Unfortunately, I do not have a sunny subject for you today, but rather wintry theme, and that is I became aware of the serious problem with Jehovah's Witnesses when one of my students, who's an ex-JW, as they call it, he left. He did not give them the chance to excommunicate him or disfellowship him. He did not give them the chance. He walked out, and the reason being, child abuse, sexual child abuse was rampant inside the Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of pedophiles are attracted to being a JW, and the reason being, just like other religions, where they feel there's a safety net that will protect their activities, and the reason being, the JWs believe in dealing with things themselves, because by going to outsiders you are getting involved with Babylon, with sin, etc., and therefore they deal with it themselves. In other words, don't worry, handshake and a kiss. So a lot of elders abuse their positions because they're in a position of authority, and therefore can get away with almost murder without having a JW. It's like Muslims. Muslims will never go to the police to deal with their problem. They do it themselves. It's a cult, which is shrouded in secrecy, and that is what Jehovah's Witnesses are. What's interesting with the Jehovah's Witnesses origin, it was started by Charlie Russell. Charlie Russell could not even read Greek or Hebrew. He was even sentenced in court for being a fraud. But of course, when you are brainwashed, you do not look at the history or the origins as to the founder of your religion or cult, as it may be. But Charlie Russell, he created his own Bible, and rewrote it. And what he did, I think, when he was put on trial to see whether he could read Greek or Hebrew, he couldn't even read not with one letter of Greek or Hebrew, and he was found guilty. But and it was Charlie Russell that brought in this new concept that taking blood transfusion, which he literally interpreted from the Bible, meant that you can watch your loved ones die and almost become immune emotionally. That you're put in the kingdom hall first, and the interpretations then your loved ones, and therefore the conflict of interest involved is that a lot of JWs are willing to watch their children get abused or die, rather than give them blood transfusion, etc. The other thing that's problematic in the kingdom hall is that domestic violence, like you find in most cults, is rampant. Domestic violence is so serious that in the story that I read this morning, this 20-year-old girl called Sarah was beaten up by her husband and broke her ribs, and she could not take the abuse anymore. And as a result, I think she reported it to the police, or no, she walked out of the relationship, and they called her wicked. The Jehovah's Witness, the Kingdom Hall, called her wicked and decided to disfellowship her for not putting up with the abuse, having more broken ribs, a black eye. Look, if you don't believe me, join any Jehovah's Witness organization, Kingdom Hall, join any of them and pretend you're going through abuse or your children are being sexually abused. And I guarantee you they will not call the police, nor will they deal with it adequately, sufficiently, and sternly. It's all about the organization. It's all about secrecy and protecting the Kingdom Hall, the people at the top. That's what it's all about. And therefore, it's no wonder you get abusers of women. It attracts homosexuals. It attracts pedophiles. You know, because they realize what the organization stand for, and they realize they are behind a fortress. They are behind steel gates, you know, iron rods, and thus their perversion, their violence can continue without challenge. What this tells you, oh, another thing as well, what this tells you is that joining the JWs, Jehovah's Witness, you better be prepared that if one day you disagree with their doctrines, or you disagree with being battered and beaten up, you will lose your friends, you will lose your family, if you dare walk out. If you dare walk out, you lose your friends and your family. They cut off from you, totally isolate you. With 2017, you think people would understand the psychology and the mental engineering process of how cults work? We have access to information, technology, internet, social media, books, libraries. You would think that people would know when they are in a cult or the mechanism of a cult. But for some unknown reason, JWs do not read. They do not research until it is too late. When either their loved ones get beaten up to a pool, or their children get sexually abused, then it's too late. Or their child becomes ill, and the Kingdom Hall tells you you have to watch your child suffering because of one perverted man, Charlie Russell. Not Jesus Christ, not God Almighty, Charlie Russell, who was found guilty of fraud. Yet because of this pervert, you have to watch your child die. I don't understand how anyone can be a member of any cult, where if you dare challenge it, you are cut off from your family and friends, or indeed, if you are going through domestic violence, you are told to persevere, or to put it to Jehovah. A mistranslation from the Y, Yahweh, they put J. This is the proof that Charlie Russell couldn't read Greek or Hebrew or Aramaic. He put J, then the Y. He couldn't read Hebrew or Greek. And the people, they follow him like sheep following a false shepherd that leads them to destruction. If you are to be a good shepherd, you look after your sheep. You look after them, feed them well, not with garbage. Feed them well, lead them away from danger, from wolves. Unfortunately, a lot of cults are led by bad shepherds, false preachers, false prophets, because they don't prophesy anything, so they're false prophets. We see this sickness in Africa, where you have people eating grass, eating snakes, eating petrol, because their pastors told them to do it. These people, their minds have become like zombies. They can tell them anything and they believe it. They will do it. And this has happened to the JWs. They'll put up with domestic violence. They'll put up with child abuse. They'll put up with anything. And you dare question it, and they excommunicate you. You better not call the police. As I said to any of you who doubt this information, become a JW. And even use some actors, drama students, whatever, and pretend that a particular child is being abused, and I guarantee you, right, they will not, and they'll refuse to call the police. They won't get the police involved at all. And if you dare challenge the abuser abusing your child, they will excommunicate you. And you wonder why JWs are full of perverts, homosexuals. Homosexuals actually inside the Kingdom Hall, they feel safe. No good fruit ever comes out of a cult. I've never known any cult that produce good fruit, because Jesus says, by their fruits you shall know them. The JWs are abusers. They have no good conduct, no good mind, no good behavior. Because what you are as a person will come out. When you can sit back and turn a blind eye to abuse or domestic violence, it says more about you. Your silence is your consent. And if you can sit back and allow someone you claim you love to go through the abuse, and you claim you have the love of God in you, you're a liar. What you are following is an organization. It's shocking, it really is, how we can allow occults to control our minds in the way that they do. And I hope any JWs watching this will come to their senses and realize they're not having a relationship with God or Jesus. Your relationship is with a dead man, Charlie Russell, and the Kingdom Hall. I dare any of you who's been brainwashed, give me your best thinkers, JWs, your best theologians. Tell them, come and debate me on this channel. Live! Skype! Live! And I promise you, in less than 5 minutes, I'll destroy them. Are you now going to follow them? Or even tell them, debate me by email, anything, and I promise you, right, you will see how fake the organization of JW is. If you haven't got the strength to leave, send me a message and I'll help you.